Einbahnstraßen.
Perfect. Okay, we're moving on.
You know, that's the only like German word I know.
You know more than that.
Saying it.
I have faith that you know more than that.
Moving on.
What time is it? God damn.
Welcome back to
Y'all
another
talk
episode.
too much. Damn.
Welcome back to another episode of the Reading Black Girls podcast. I'm Niche.
I'm Alex.
I'm Aziza.
I'm Elder aka Kayla. And we're the Reading Black Girls. Duh.
That's how we're starting.
We
We
having
switch
a
roles
nice
one
episode.
time. And
That's
that's
the
how you
problem.
come in.
I
Perfect.
didn't have a choice.
All right. Well, we're glad you're here. We're really glad that you clicked on this video in particular or selected this podcast because we have a very special treat for you today. We have a very, very fun, silly, crazy, hilarious book for you. I don't even know what else.
Which we love.
Can I
That's a
just say this?
TRBG fave. We
Y'all
love a
were
genre.
on Goodreads saying that this book was like a 3.5.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Because I had a
Neither do I.
time.
If
I get some of it, but I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know
I-
this girl.
I'll talk about it more later. I was the first to read this book, and I feel like I kind of like gave that vibe. But I want to
You
have a
weren't the only
chance
one.
to explain. And I know that a lot of people had the same opinions that I did about
Yeah.
this book. And y'all like just read it recently, so it's like y'all kind of it's all after the fact. Everything that everyone said about it, y'all kind of had like a cleaner slate almost to read this book.
It was after
And-
the hype died down.
Yeah, this was
Correct.
like one of
Is
the
when we
biggest
read it.
books of last year.
Yeah.
2022.
Facts.
I thought it was going to be
So-
overrated, but I'm so glad.
so
I
Yeah.
was wrong.
too.
I'm very
had a
glad
good
I was
time.
wrong.
Book reveal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
We loved her.
You made a fool of death with your
This
beauty.
book right here,
Okay.
we are
Yeah.
a
By our
fan.
non-binary fave, which by the way, I read The Death of Vivek Oji crazy
Years ago.
So good. It
Really?
was really good. Yes, it
Oh.
was really good.
I did have to add it to my list after I read this book. So, author Emezi, you did that.
Yeah, for sure.
I did that.
Shouts out.
So let's get into it. Trigger warnings.
Grief, death, violence against women, and low-key homophobia.
Low key.
Low key.
Like it wasn't
It wasn't
at
fully
the
developed,
forefront,
but it was
it
there.
was there.
It was
wasn't
there.
like
The
don't
undercurrent.
need a death homophobia. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you homophobia.
Yeah.
But it was
Right.
still.
It was still
It was,
like-
I'm
aggressive.
uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with you being
Uncomfortable.
I
you.
can't accept this.
I don't
Right,
want to
right.
let you be your full self.
like.
Yeah, that
Okay.
type of homophobia.
That's your problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So essentially this book is about Feyi. She's an artist. She's recovering from the death of her husband. She's exploring her freedom and sexual prowess, which we love. And she ends up in a very, how do you say?
Sticky situation.
Yeah.
Como said he said sticky situation.
Je ne sais quoi. A certain je ne sais quoi about her.
Yeah, it was just a little
You know-
something.
Now, mind you, I just feel like because she was an artsy bitch, like a bad artsy, like a bad
yes, she was.
but who just happened to do very like prolific, profound art. Like she had this aura about her that were automatically attracted to.
Honey,
okay?
she
But
was magnetic.
Yes,
Yeah.
She was
like, they were
kinetic.
flocking to
They
her
felt
like
it.
flies on Henry.
The men were coming in droves to
Literally
get
couldn't get
a
enough.
piece
Yeah.
of Miss Feyi,
Mm-hmm.
and she
She's
knew it.
like, okay.
Book open. She's at a party. finds a guy who's
Pause.
fine.
Hold up. If you ain't read this book and you care about
Oh,
spoilers, you got to
please.
go.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't give a if you read it or not. Just
And
listen.
if you want
Because
to stay,
it was-
okay. If you
Just
want to
listen
fucking
to the shit that happens in
want
this
to
book.
stay, stay. If you don't care at all, stay.
Yeah.
There you have it. Okay.
Matter
go
of
ahead,
fact,
Kayla. I'm so
I want to
sorry.
spoil it because I don't care if you want to read this book or not. You gonna listen to this episode because this book is crazy as
I
hell.
love when Kayla gets violent with our
It was just
listeners.
so
She gets so
crazy. Like
aggressive.
Yeah.
first chapter, we know like Miss Girl is going through stuff. She finds this fine. He looks
And
at
you know
her.
she going through stuff.
She looks at
'cause-
him. She's like, "Let's go to the bathroom." She fucks him raw in the bathroom, and he inside of her.
Crazy club story.
So we're jumping right in. All
Right.
right.
Like
My
That's
jaw.
a crazy club story.
Because, like, let's really break it down, people.
That's crazy.
A stranger, that's already one thing.
that's
okay?
crazy.
in the
Stranger
club.
Raw.
that's another thing.
Well, Alex, yes, because they were fucking in a public place.
In a public place.
Is that three? In a public
Yeah,
place.
that's 3 things.
Fucking
Another
a stranger in a
thing. A
place
stranger
raw.
raw in a public place raw and letting them.
inside
That's
of
a
you.
lot. That's a
That's
lot.
4 things.
That was that was about 3 too many. Okay? One of those things by themselves would have been wild, but all 4 together.
Crazy.
But I feel like
Faye, I'm interested in who you
Yes,
are as a
immediately.
person.
Yes,
That's a
immediately.
great intro.
Immediately.
I want to
'cause
get to
what
know
else
you
is going to
more.
happen in the span of this book.
But can we
if
just
this is
say
the
her
first few
friend Joy
pages?
was like, "Are you crazy?
It
That's
was.
crazy." Bitch.
Because
But then
it's
she was
Joy,
like,
I
go
like
off.
Yes, go off, please.
being here for your
She was
friend
like-
shenanigans, but also acknowledging, like, was that the wisest decision you've made?
Probably not,
No,
but go off.
But did you have fun while doing it? All right,
Mhm.
like
We'll take
maybe
it.
in the
You
future we'll do
deserve.
something different. But as of right now, I love that.
Okay.
And if that's not what your 20s is about,
What is it?
I don't know.
What is it about?
What is
Write
it
us a
about?
letter at thereadingblackgirls@gmail.com. to
Yeah,
tell
let
us
us know.
If it's not
Yeah.
that, tell us what it is then. Because I want to know.
What are
We
your
want to
20s
know.
about?
What are your 20s about?
Mhm.
For real.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
if we had like anonymous emails sent to us about
that'd
like
be
crazy,
What was that
like,
thing that we used to
20
use?
stories?
Anon. What was it?
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm
Anon.
talking
Oh
about.
yeah.
There were a few different like
it-
anon things like that. But
Little
here's the
Twitter
thing.
accounts, Instagram accounts.
I feel like that could be fun and silly and goofy, but at the same time, I'm gonna be honest. The person that I am, I'm gonna be sending in fake stuff, talking about y'all to make you think that people hate you, just because I just want to start some.
Well,
Just
since you
this
already
right
aired it
here.
out.
This right here is exactly why Kayla is a menace. This is why. Y'all heard that, right?
She's an agent of chaos.
Now, mind you,
She
she's
feeds
going.
and broods.
She's not talking about doing this on other accounts. She's talking about quite literally doing
On
this
us.
to us, the account that she is a part of.
And I'd be
Yeah.
like, Kayla is such a sweetheart, but you other three.
It's fine because now we know.
And there
now we
y'all
know
have it.
it's
Facts.
Kayla.
But here's the thing. Here's what I will say. If that does happen, I will own up to it. Well, actually, not initially. I'll say no.
Not
And then I'll be
initially.
like,
You would hide.
Not
Not
initially.
initially. She's like,
Not
I would
initially.
lie
I'd be like,
first.
no, I would
You would
never. And then
lie.
you guys would be like,
You would
that's
be
absolutely
like-
you. And then I'd be like, okay, that was
Who is
Now,
that? Kayla
yeah,
would be
I
the
deny
most
it.
person that would be like, who is that? I can't believe that they
Yeah.
would send something
Yeah.
like this to us. Can you
Absolutely.
believe
Absolutely.
that?
The
I'ma block 'em,
theatrics,
because
the
I can't.
theatrics play a part into it. But what I will say is, after the second time, you're like, "No, bitch, this is you." I will admit to it. Now, if I say no, it's not me 2 times. It really wasn't me. It really wasn't me that time.
Okay,
And she
My
did
bad.
it
I don't believe
once,
you.
and it wasn't like 100%.
I'm being so dead because I own
I'm
up to
being
my.
so
shit.
says the liar.
I own
Yeah.
up to my eventually. I do.
Yeah,
my life on it.
eventually.
Yes.
Eventually.
Yes,
Sometimes,
I feel
Kayla,
like the
it can
second
be-
time. It doesn't take that long. It won't take that long for me to fess up because, at some point you're like, yeah, the joke has played its thing. Now let's be serious. Like, yeah, that was me.
Okay.
So what?
I-
Chaos.
Okay.
Anyway,
I can agree with you on that.
Moving
Okay.
on.
Moving on.
Right.
After
You
that
may-
whole thing happens and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this is about to be a wild ride. Then, she ends up befriending this man who was friends with the man that she had sex with in the bathroom.
her,
And,
her
he
friends with benefits. Yeah.
obviously obsessed. He is obsessed with Faye. He
Immediately.
wants to be with her so bad. He ends up inviting her out to his daddy's place. And that's
Now, can I just
will
say this?
That's
Because
where
I
things get
assumed that
messy.
the guy she was because they were FWBs for a little bit. I assumed he told his friends about the stuff that they were doing. Okay, so when he approached her, I'm thinking he's trying to approach her on the same. And because she's a woman of substance, she's just like, you don't know me. I don't just fuck random guys.
They have much cap going on right now.
Right.
You
Like,
don't
be
know.
clear.
What's that
For
hell?
real.
She needs to get a
I
vibe
wouldn't
from
do
you
that.
first.
Right.
Yes. So she got the vibe, and he was just like, "No, I'm being for real. Like, I am actually just genuinely. I just want to get to know y'all. Like, for real."
And then that's where our adventure begins. Like, she
Yeah.
gets
Yep.
flued out,
This
which
is
we
very much a
love.
trip.
To the
Very
Faye is
much a
island.
living our
vacay
dream.
read. Beach
Fine
read.
As his-
billionaire. Like, he's
Right.
got some money.
He's got a
interested
little
in her.
money.
He's not a
He's got some,
billionaire.
He's
no.
not a
Well, that's why
billionaire.
I said.
is.
Can I just say
No, I'm
this?
talking about
Oh.
his daddy. He's not a billionaire.
close
But he
enough.
is
He
he
got
is
a
rich
few-
though.
He's definitely got some
A few
money.
He's a
thou-
celebrity.
Maybe
million.
a
Right,
few.
no, I
I
just
think
think
maybe a
like
few
a-
millions.
I
A
just
few
want to.
millions.
It's not like egregious like a billionaire. Like
In
give
my
up your
head-
wealth.
Giving,
It
my
it's
is
not
head,
giving
he had
Twisted Games by
wealthy.
Anna Huang. It's
No.
not
No.
giving.
no.
Yeah.
He's
It's
a
not
celebrity,
giving
though.
Dreamland Billionaires. It's not giving that, but he is a celebrity
It's
chef.
giving
Think Gordon
celebrity
Ramsay.
chef. Gordon
Think
Ramsay.
Jamaican
Maybe
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon, we love you.
We are obsessed.
Woo!
Gordon.
Gordon.
And if you ever want to invite us to Hell's Kitchen, anywhere, anytime, any
Please.
place, we will be there.
We will be there. Gordon's team, if y'all are hearing this, please, Lord, put us on somebody's goddamn RSVP list.
all I want
That's
is
all I'm
scallops
saying.
and some risotto and a Wellington.
Lobster risotto,
Ooh, and a
scallops,
beef
and a
Wellington.
goddamn beef welly.
Oh my god.
So it's giving that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's giving
giving
that.
He
He's
can
on
cook,
that status,
and he's successful. So they get
Yeah.
off. They get off the plane. Her, Feyi, and Nasir. They get off the plane. He's like giving her more stuff about like tales of his homeland, tales of his childhood, XYZ.
cute.
Trying to appeal to her.
and wait,
he wants.
at this point they've agreed to just be friends on
Friends.
the island, right?
So they
Okay.
agree to that, but it's obviously like obvious that they like each other a little bit more than friends. He is feeling
Not
her more
obviously
than she's
likes
feeling
her
him.
more.
He obviously likes her more.
Yeah.
Now she said
But
just
she
as friends,
has
but she
complicated
will kiss him
Every
in the
now and
mouth.
again, a little.
She likes him, but not like
But not
that.
like that.
Not a
yet.
lot.
Our sis needs some time. Okay,
Yeah, but
needs some time.
and she
She needs a
tells
little
Nazir
something more.
before they go on the trip, she's like, "Don't expect all this. I'm not your girlfriend coming back home. Like, it's okay if we're just friends." And Nazir's like, "Yeah, it's cool with me. I'm fine. We could be friends. Yeah, it's cool." And immediately when I read that, I was already apprehensive about it because you went about that way too soon.
'Cause
You went
niggas
about
lie.
that way too quick because
Lie every
lie and he just had way too
Yeah.
much confidence. He
I
had
got
way too
wrapped
much
up.
dip on his chip.
I mean,
Yeah,
but he
he
was trying to like beef it up. Like, yeah, I always bring my friends to my
Right, I
daddy's
always
compounds.
do that. This is nothing
Oh,
you do.
come on. I didn't even
You bring
take
your
it like
guy
that.
friends,
Like,
but
stop
not
lying.
woman friends. Like she was the first woman to
Okay, but
to
remember,
bring home.
he didn't. Y'all are really going in on this book.
Sorry.
He
But he
did
just-
not even.
It was like
say-
the beginning part.
It wasn't
Yeah.
even like that. I just want to. That was not how I interpreted this at all. Wow,
Yeah, how'd
this
you
is the
interpret
first
it?
time we've
Well,
talked about
because,
any of
but
this.
it was because at the end he revealed like his true self. Like it
Right,
seemed like
at
he was
the
putting on this like
end.
facade of like, oh, we're cool,
We're
we can
just
be
friends.
friends.
I
I'm here for
didn't-
you. Da 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 da.
I didn't
But then
even
at
take
the
it like that.
end,
I didn't take it.
he
like
let
that
his true
either.
colors show, and that's
I-
why
How'd you
we're
take it?
going in on him.
No, see,
I
how did you
felt
take it?
like-
Because I'm curious.
I felt like in the beginning, he was genuine. I think he honestly felt like he liked her. She wasn't ready to move on. I think he was like, you know what? I want to move on with her, but I'm going to respect her boundaries. I'm not going to press. If you need to be friends first, that's fine. Like, I think he was really trying. I think what changed is she got with his dad. Hello,
but that
we're
changed
not gonna. We're
My
not gonna
issue
now.
with that is that he was literally expecting. He said, "Okay, you're still grieving over your dead husband. I get that, but I'm gonna be next in line." And that was my issue with him. It was like
When did he
was
say
expecting
that?
but
Well,
the way
it was his
because he was so
actions,
thrown
though.
off that she
Yeah,
liked
it wasn't
his dad.
his words; it was his
Would it-
actions.
Okay, we are not going to sit here and act. Now, I'm not saying all of his actions were justified, were acceptable, because they weren't. Like him blowing up on her and all that was violent, that was unacceptable. However, let's not act like we would not all have a very real reaction to somebody that we liked, whether or not those feelings were returned. We like someone, we're hanging out, no expectations, because Feyi did always make it clear when she wasn't comfortable, when she wanted to pull back. So no expectations, but okay, we're hanging out. We've at least kissed. We've cuddled. We've still had some intimacy. And now you're getting with my dad. I'm
Yeah.
shocked, babes.
I
I don't
She
want
was
us
shocked
to.
about it too.
Yeah.
Yes, and
But
she did admit in the end, because that's the part I like. She told him off because she was like, "You don't owe me. We didn't have expectations. I don't owe you my body. I don't really even
right.
have to give you
Uh-huh.
an explanations." That I respected because it was true. However, also y'all agreed to be friends, and then you went and had a thing with his dad. Now,
But here's my issue with that, okay? Because you're absolutely right. From the things he was saying, it seemed like it was platonic. But let me ask you this, okay? If you have
I didn't say
connections
that.
to the you
I
didn't
don't
say
think
what?
it was platonic.
Oh, so you thought it was more than platonic. Like he had
Yes.
obviously more feelings for her. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
That was clear. He liked
But
her so much
so we
more than
all
she
agree
did.
that he liked her more. Here
Yes.
here was my problem. There were definitely for him, I definitely think there were expectations. I think that you have to be careful when dealing with someone who likes you more than them. If they're going out of their way to do things that seem extra nice or
Yeah.
extra special, like recommending me to your dad's famous art friends to put me in an illustrious art show, you're to me, I'm like, that's more than just friendship. That's more than just liking me a little bit more.
And even if you
That's
say that's just
that's
friendship, even if you
it would
allude to it just
to
being
me his
friendship,
actions with bringing her home,
that was
with
so
making sure she
much.
got into this art show, it's way more than just we know he likes her more obviously, but I think he definitely had expectations, which he likes her, we know that, but his reaction to her, mind you, she didn't even him yet. That was his perception. He thought
That
that
part.
she had his dad. That didn't even happen yet. But the way he reacted was so volatile that I'm like, this. You thought we were like in a relationship and we weren't.
And we weren't.
You
And
forgot
you're
those
so mad.
boundaries that I
Your
clearly
ego couldn't
set.
handle that.
You forgot these
His
clear
reaction
boundaries
was
that
Yeah.
I set.
outrageous. It
His
it was
reaction
And
was
that's
not
outrageous.
was
yeah.
And
not
it
okay.
was tinged with like the expectations that he had.
Yeah.
But I want to
That
back
he
up.
was
First
next
of
up.
all, for the record, I am so mad that I disagree with y'all to the point where y'all got me defending a man. That pisses me off. But regardless, I'm so mad you have me defending a male character right now. But going back, okay, going back to how you're like, he's doing too much, he da 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 da, because like we know what love bombing is. I didn't even think of it like that. I really think that Nasir just had better connections than Feyi did. Like, oh, you're an artist? That's funny because my dad's best friend is an art collect. Like, I do stuff like that in my life. So I didn't even think of it like I want this from you. I expect you to have.
Yeah.
Now, do I think he was hopeful? Absolutely. I think he was thinking that it was going to go further. They were end up in a relationship and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Was he entitled to feel that way? No, because Feyi had been very clear. Every time she was like, would think about Jonah or just not feel right or settled in her actions, she would pull back and she'd be like, I think we need to slow down. I think so. I don't. That was his hang up. Okay, that was his hang
Yeah.
up. However, I don't think it's fair to make it seem like he was this malicious person and that he had ulterior motives and that he was trying to like be like take advantage of the situation. I don't think that's the type of person he was. I do think that what transpired with her falling in love with his father, unfortunately, it was a sucky situation. Like
Yeah.
it sucked,
From
and I
jump.
think he reacted poorly. Again, his reaction
Yeah.
was unacceptable. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any excuse for it. He had something else, but I don't like he didn't switch up until that very
Till he
real event happened, and I don't think it's fair to be like to make it seem like he's something other than
Yeah.
because he apologized too. Like it took him a
And-
minute, but he was like, "I'm upset. That wasn't
Well,
fair."
I
And
just don't
granted,
think
I'll-
that it was subconscious. Like, I don't think he was intentionally like, I'm going to place her in this place so she feels obligated to give me
Be
X,
with
Y, and
me.
Z or be this person.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think he intentionally did that. But I think like, and maybe it's just my perspective because I'm a woman. I don't know what it's like to be a man. For me, I will go out of my way to put my friends in situations that will benefit them. I don't know if I can say that that's always the case with men, because I've seen instances of men, when they want something from a woman, then they will go out of their way to
To
do
get
good things for the woman, right? To do
so
things
they
that would
get
be
what they
considered a
want.
friend. Exactly. So
Is that
and that's not all men. That doesn't happen all
right?
the time, but I've seen that happen. So, and maybe again, like, I don't think he did it intentionally, but sometimes people just do things because,
Yeah.
like, well, if I do this thing, then this person will like me more, and then we'll be on the same page, right? And so
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
I viewed it. I didn't think he was doing it
Okay.
necessarily
They're trying
And
to
maliciously.
win
also
favor
Got it.
because
almost.
this book was mostly written in Faye's perspective,
Yeah.
like we
Hmm.
got her inner turmoil the entire book about
Mm-hmm.
literally the minute that
Yes.
she lands and she's attracted
Yes.
to his dad. She knows that she's like, this is messy. She said that so many times throughout the book,
Yeah.
like, damn girl,
Yes.
this is messy. She was talking to her homegirl, like,
This is
I'm in a
yes.
sticky situation right now. I don't even know how to handle it. And kind of Faye low-key, like, she made a decision without doing anything. Like her decision not to do anything regarding
Was
Nazir
not necessarily a good decision.
was still a
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like,
it was still a
all of
decision.
that came into, but he still reacted poorly. But
Hmm.
yeah, all of everything that happened, this whole withholding of information and, Faye was still, she's the woman. She is deserving. She deserves whatever happiness that she gets. We're all pro women. We're all sex positive, whatever. And I don't know, it just seemed like when Nazir was like so mad about it, he was really giving me the vibes of like when men fly girls out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, if you a and you get flued out, like you best believe that you got to give up the like, no, you do not.
Period.
Never. I
Yeah.
don't care if
Correct.
we friends. I don't care if we're talking about sex. I don't care if we've been sexting. I don't care about nothing. If I don't want to have sex with you, I'm not
There
about to have
shouldn't be
sex with you.
Right.
expectations. Which
Right.
at the
And
same
like, I
time,
don't
like,
know,
I
that whole thing.
understand, like, this is what you may be perceiving and what you're expecting, but you can't assume that the other person automatically feels the exact same way or is down
Mm-hmm.
to do the exact same things, right? So
Yeah.
And I
that was
think
a
And
I
good thing to see
I
here.
feel like it honestly just made it worse because it was his dad.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah,
part that I
that's the
think, like, I
whole
feel like just
Because,
amplified
yeah,
it
because
because
he
like
extra
didn't care
level.
about
it was
he didn't
like
care about that his friend had
right.
her. He didn't care about
He didn't
that.
care about that,
Mhm.
but
But
I
my
think it was
dad
like
bitched.
over like the looming like this whole entire time, like it's kind of leading to this, like it's either gonna happen or it's not, and then it does, and you're like, ooh, the blow up,
Well, I
Yeah.
think the
But
worst part
and the
was
Faye was
blow up
when
thinking about that the whole
was
time.
yeah,
Nazir leaves.
literally
Yeah.
When Nazir left, I'm like, it's about to
Like,
hit the fan. She gonna
gone
the
for a
daddy
couple days.
because
they
And
what I
she
gone
remember,
knew.
right.
She
she
knew.
knew.
She was like, I might need to get out of here, but
Well, that's what Joy told her. Like,
I'm just
bitch, you
gonna
need to
sit.
go get a
Girl,
hotel
leave.
away from the
But it
house.
was also that thing like curiosity killed the cat. She was
Mm-hmm.
like, curiosity quite literally ended up
And
killing the cat.
boy, did he!
Murdered the
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that real quick? Just the description.
Of
Well,
that man.
she also had too
My
many. She had too
goodness.
many alone times with the dad. When she first went
Yeah.
up on that
The
damn
full-
mountain to see the sunrise,
Like the mount,
she
the
met him in the
hiking, the
garden.
cooking,
And
the
I feel like that's when
dancing.
it really
The
split.
mango, the
The
mango,
mango
cream,
foam.
Well, the
Yeah.
mango foam, that set it up.
Yeah.
That was her confirmation. She said,
the pool.
oh, you like that. You want me
Come
to.
on now.
It was
Okay.
too many instances of her
It was
alone with him.
steamy.
And I think here's the
Yeah.
thing,
The
because
angst.
one thing, what was
Yeah.
it? What was the guy she what was his name again?
Milan.
Milan.
Milan was like, I'm gonna be honest, love Nazir, that's my brother, but he ain't been through shit.
He don't know nothing.
He ain't been through shit, so he don't know what it's like to bond
too
with
green.
someone who's been through shit. Because remember, the daddy also lost wife, lost the greatest love of
Been through
his
some
life, a next great love who was a man that his children could not accept. And he's lonely in this artistic world. And guess what? Feyi literally felt the exact same way.
That's the attraction.
It was the
That's
connection.
That was the attraction.
Yeah.
Their grief.
It was the connection.
Connection. Like they both experienced very
Trauma
similar
bond.
things.
And
And that
and,
and
and talking with his dad did help
mm-mm.
Faye like kind of like overcome her grief. Finally, it was like a year after her husband died, and she was still like having the dreams, having like
right.
It was
5
5.
years.
It
It was
was 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And like she was still holding on to it and talking with him, befriending his dad, like, because they really did start off as like, they were like, yeah, we're attracted to each other, let's cool it back, but then we're like, oh, but we still need this friendship, this fellowship, this connection,
Yeah.
to help each other like overcome our own problems that we're experiencing in our lives, and like we're the only two people on this entire island that know the same grief.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
like that's, I appreciated that. I would never say that this book is like a full legit romance. It was like,
This was not
so
a. That was
this
this
was
to me
Uh-oh.
was not. This,
here
yeah.
goes.
Well, hear Alex out,
Z
because
said
I'm
this
not gonna
was
lie.
Really, like, okay,
I'm not gonna lie.
this
When
goes
I
into
read
like
this, and I called
this.
because I was calling Alex during, because Niche, I think you had just finished, but like when she got to the airport and she saw Daddy, I was like, she about to the Daddy.
It's clear.
Uh-huh.
She about to the Daddy.
Uh-huh.
And then as I'm reading this, I'm like, this feels more like a coming of age, coming into your womanhood, coming into understanding who you truly are and what you want in life,
Overcoming
versus
your
a true romance.
Overcoming
Yeah.
grief.
Because
And-
7 days was a romance. Before I let go,
That's like-
But then
Yeah.
you have to
romance.
think about the different types of romances, though.
There's a lot of different types
Okay,
of romances.
Because
But,
this
like,
was a
I
second
think
chance.
it was-
well.
And
I
Oh,
really
was
think that
a-
this was a
What would you
chick
call
lit
this?
with like with romance.
Romance
in it. It wasn't
undertones?
necessarily, yeah, it had romantic undertones.
It
So
had
what
romantic
was the sorry. What was the
Literally-
overall title or genre you would give it?
I would give it like a female fiction,
like woman's
chick lit,
contemporary.
women's contemporary.
Well, let me
Most of that
no,
book was
because
her-
you know we love our romantic tropes. So what trope would y'all say this is? Because for me, I feel like I couldn't like really place
The
it.
daddy?
boyfriend's dad. That's a
the
whole
boyfriend's
trope.
dad. That's a trope.
niche trope,
Oh, and it happens.
and it happens.
And it'd be crazy every time. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like when it's
I want to know
set
what
up
Aziz
like
is.
this.
No, Aziz is thinking really
Yeah,
hard. I really
Z,
want to know what
what
Aziz
are you
thinks.
thinking?
Especially because
Well-
you just read this most recently.
Right.
I'm thinking one so hard because I'm so far from sober, but I'm trying. What I was thinking.
Cheers.
What I'm thinking is, I was like, yes, technically it was definitely boyfriend's dad, but I just felt like it was a lot more than that, and I just don't think it would be fair to almost
Just like-
minimize it, like
Yeah.
to that.
But
and-
that's
because
why I said it wasn't just a romance. It had so much more building on to like the women's contemporary.
wasn't. But I also, because I forgot who said, maybe Niche or Caleb, but someone was like, think about the different types of romances, and I feel like this was a different type of romance. I feel like it had second chance aspects. I feel like there was definitely, the age gap aspect, which I really liked that we didn't dwell on too much. But I also felt like it
We was all grown here.
right. Like they were adults, they had lived life, made this. So I wasn't, the age gap didn't bother me.
So
But
do you think though that the focal point of this novel was the romantic aspect, or most so like the working through grief and coming into your own?
And through
That's a
like
good question.
And, like-
friendship.
I think
And,
it was.
like-
I think it was both. Like I think it was working through. Like I would be fine if you honestly just gave it a fiction genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Fiction
also
does
don't
have
think,
romantic elements in it.
Yeah.
Always.
absolutely. But I also don't think that it was wrong to put it in the romance aspect, because the development of Alim and Feyi's romance was beautiful. But I feel like Feyi also fell back in love with living life, because she kept
Yeah.
saying like, I want to feel alive, I want to feel alive, and
Yeah.
that's why I was like,
That
oh
is a
no,
really
this
good
is
point, Z.
absolutely a romance. She fell back in love with living. She realized she had a different type of love for joy. She realized that she had a love for her artwork and how it developed her as a person. So that's why I was like, how is this not a romance? Like it was just so many different types.
That is a very good point, because I think when we think about romance, we're automatically thinking
Yeah.
like romantic individual, like there's another person who I'm in love with, versus I'm loving myself, I'm loving my friends, I'm loving life, I'm loving the person I'm becoming. That is a really good point.
To me,
and
that
I've
is
never
what-
thought of
Lost-
romance
that
in
is
that way.
lost
That's
love,
women's
too.
contemporary, though. To me, that's women's contemporary. To me, that's like a woman under the Tuscan sun. Like that's these stories about, and like I said, in fiction, there is romance in fiction. Always. It literally,
Absolutely.
there's always a romantic element. There's always an interest. There's always something, but it's never like the pure focal point. In a romance, to me, it's like, yeah, hero, heroine, issues,
They
third act
overcome them.
problems, they
Mhm.
Yeah.
overcome it, they end up together. Here it was like they were connecting, friendship, fellowship, feeding off of each other, trying to overcome the problems that they've experienced without that person, building it on together, trying to fix it, trying to heal the pain that was caused long ago. And then together they still come, they're still attracted to each other, which that isn't out of the norm for any fiction. But towards the end, yeah, they do come together, have sex. But then at the end, Alim is like, well, I just want to be real with you. We're just going to see where this goes.
Right.
Like I know if he, like it was issues in the book where it's like she wasn't so confident about it, and he really came to her and was like, well, if you're not confident about it, I'm feeding off of you right now, and I need to protect myself. But
Yeah.
if you not feeling this right now, we could call it quits. Like we don't even have to build on it. And then come to find out at the end, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to New York with you. I can come to New York with you,
Right.
like, and we could
I
see
can
what
cook
happens.
anywhere.
It wasn't
One
like this happily ever after. It wasn't like everything
necessarily,
is
it wasn't
tied
guaranteed.
together. It was like we're still working on each other. That to me is more of a fiction. And it does have romance in it. I'm not saying that it doesn't have romance in it.
Okay.
But when this book came out and it was entitled as a romance, I felt that a
Yeah.
lot of romance readers were reading it, and then they were like me, like taken aback, were saying
Mm.
like this isn't necessarily a romance. And I'm not saying
Okay.
it doesn't have romantic elements. I'm not saying it's not a good romance, and I'm not saying like she doesn't fall in love with herself. But when you really think of like and comparing it with other
Like
romances,
what we
I think
consider
Yeah.
romance.
Yes.
right, I
Like
think this
7
is
Days in
still
June.
So
right.
you
Like,
think
Yeah.
so was
I-
that why you
makes sense.
think people were giving it like the 3
yeah,
rating versus like a 4 or 5?
Mm.
I
Oh,
think
Because it
that
wasn't a
romance readers were
traditional
reading it, and then
romance.
it blew
And it
people away.
wasn't
They were
a
like,
okay.
Yeah, this isn't
where's
a
all of this? Where's
romance.
all of that? But if it was
Yeah.
like maybe titled like a women's fiction, or like it had
Women's
elements of
fiction,
it,
Yeah.
because
romance. Okay.
this was their first romantic book. Like did Vivek
True.
OG, The Death of Vivek OG, like
Vivek OG
that's a
had
fiction,
romantic elements. It had
right?
romantic elements, but
Right.
it was more so about self journey for both of the two characters that the narrator was going
Mm.
between. So
There you go.
that wasn't a romance to me. That was fiction. That was LGBTQI fiction, with romantic elements. Yeah. So that to me
Yeah.
that wasn't
Okay.
a true
And I
fiction.
think
Okay.
their next book, which was this book that was after the death of Vivek OG, they wrote this, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna give a little bit more romance, try and reformulate it a little bit, but still in my heart and like how I was reading it, it was like, oh, I'm just here for Feyi right now. I
Yeah.
love Alim and everything. I love them separately, but it's like if they don't end up together, it's not gonna break my heart.
Well, one thing I
Mm.
think I really like about this, if we want to call this a new genre of romance or a new approach to romance, I
Hmm.
feel like every romance novel that we've read together that we've just like called and talked to each other about, from 7 Days to Before I Let Go to not Hook and It Happened One Summer,
Yeah.
traditional romance,
Yeah.
right? I feel like this is more realistic to women's perspective, especially like for us, because I was reading this and I'm like, this feels like some shit I would go through and call my homegirls about, like the way
Mhm.
Joy was reacting, the way
Right.
that
Yeah.
Faye was like reacting
And
and
I
trying to
loved it.
rationalize things and thinking through all of these scenarios. I'm like,
Hmm.
this
I
feels
love
like
that.
real life. This feels like
Which
this feels like
is
now.
contemporary fiction.
Yeah.
But this
Contemporary
is my,
You
fiction
know
is a
what?
huge umbrella.
Contemporary fiction, that genre, when you said that, I was like, I feel settled with that book in that genre.
Mhm.
Because romance
'Cause it
didn't
has
feel right.
Yeah, it has a lot of
Women's
different
fiction didn't
things.
feel
Right.
right. Fiction
But
was like, I was like,
contemporary.
contemporary fiction, that's,
Fiction.
yeah.
Which
Okay.
is crazy because
Yeah.
honestly, when we were reading another contemporary fiction book, I hated it. Now
Yeah.
this right here,
Yeah, this
loved
has a little
it.
twang to it.
I
It's-
live
it has
for
a little
this. I
something.
love the mess.
This one has a little sweetness to it.
Right.
Sweetness
Brings
to it.
Right.
very specific.
Because
Like,
Black women should be allowed to be messy. And that was the
Yes.
thing. I kept reading these reviews. They're like, why would she do that? Why?
Listen, come here. Shut your stupid ass up.
Hold on.
Relax.
Down.
Relax. Okay?
This is feeling
a
anti-Black
fictional
here.
like
story.
you've never
She
made
could
a
literally
bad
do
decision.
like you've
whatever
never your friend's dad. Be for
Yeah.
real.
Like you've
Be
never
for real.
found yourself in a pickle.
They were like, oh my
Please.
God, she didn't even learn her lesson after.
Why does she have to learn a lesson?
Get out of here.
Why can't she just live her life?
But
And
I feel
by
like
the way, I
and
think
and
she's
be
learned
allowed.
enough lessons.
Right.
I think
yes,
she's learned
exactly,
enough lessons.
Aziza. Exactly. Because she was reflecting on everything as she was
Throughout the
experiencing
whole
it
book.
throughout
The
the
whole
book.
time.
So there was no huge lesson to learn in the end. The only thing she came to the conclusion was, look, one thing I really liked about whatever his name is, the daddy, he was like,
Alim.
I'm
Alim.
whatever you're Alim, I'm going to take what you tell me. So if you tell me you're a
Yup.
shitty person, I'm going to believe you. Which I feel like we don't take people for their
If
word
you
enough.
don't trust
Yeah.
yourself,
And
I'ma
one thing I
believe
really
you.
liked,
That
she
gut
rationalized
feeling.
everything, figured out everything, and said her truth, spoke her truth. And we don't see that enough. We don't see women living that enough, especially Black women, because we always feel like we have
Right.
to be perfect,
You
right? But we're
always have
not
to be perfect. You always have to do the right thing. No. And that's why and that is literally why I gave this book 5 stars. That is why. Because there is no reason why every single time you're reading about a fictional character, you're expecting them to be perfect because they are a Black woman. Because everyday Black women have to strive to perfection.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I was living for this.
Well, I'm just gonna add to this niche because you bring up this. I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but I just think there's and I'm not gonna say this is with Black authors, but I just think in literature in general, there's a problem with portraying Black women as real people who are deserving of love, people who are deserving of self-discovery, of self-understanding, of messiness, of trying to come into themselves. There that is missing. And I think that's why you're seeing in 2022, 2023, there is a huge market of Black women who want to see themselves in these books. And that is why Black authors are going the off. Okay,
As they
because we are
should.
finally seeing ourselves represented as real people who deserve things. Okay, now Julia Quinn,
Yeah.
we love Bridgerton. She said recently that she did not include Black characters in her writing because she wanted her characters to have happy endings. Why do Black characters why don't they deserve
Because
happy
they love
endings?
to see our
Right.
pain.
They love
to see
struggle.
our trauma.
Right. They
We-
love
like,
good trauma, Black
entertainment.
trauma. And we're
But-
not supplying that anymore.
No.
Period.
No,
I'm
we're
not
seeing
cut that out.
interested in it.
We're
Let's
seeing
cut
Black
that out.
women go raise their children. We're seeing Black women go through divorce and finding their way
Right.
back to the love of their lives. We're seeing Black women be successful and vulnerable at the same time.
And if you got a problem with that, get to stepping.
Period.
Nobody asked you to be here. You don't have a foot in this race. So if you're not a Black woman as well, like, you have nothing to bring to this conversation. I don't need to see your comments on Goodreads about a book that is centered around a Black woman, around Black female experiences, and you have an opinion about it. You don't need to have an opinion about it. You're not going to get it. The women who get it got it. The people who get it got it.
And I feel like if you can empathize with the plight of Black women, which has always been struggle, hardship, let us finally
bigger
see ourselves
person.
Have some
as
joy.
complete humans. Let us
Yeah.
have joy.
Yeah.
Let us see
Humanize us,
suffering.
please.
Let us go through all of these different human emotions because we are human. We deserve the
Just
same
like you.
type of representation
Yep.
in media and literature and in real life because we have friends who go through all this. We see our mothers, grandmothers, friends, aunties, whatever. We see this in real life and now it's finally being depicted in literature. And that's the last thing I got to say about that.
Thank
Period.
God.
And that's
These
unfair.
authors are
And that's
doing
it. That's it.
They're doing it. They're doing
That's
it.
all you need to
what
know.
needs to be
We're
done.
here for everything. I'm here for the Black girls in fantasy. I'm here for the Black girls having powers. I'm here for the regular Black girl just going to school, trying to do what she wants
Literally
to do.
just fiction.
I'm here for all of it. And you should be too, because for years we've had to eat up all these other novels that center white characters and they can be messy, they can make mistakes, but you still stand them and they win Goodreads awards.
Time and time again. Let's not even talk about the good
We're not
reasons.
gonna
even talk about that.
Right.
So let
So-
me ask you this because we see Nasir, we know he gets pissed. He's trying to come to terms with all of this that's happening because it is hard to find out that the woman you love is in love with your dad and you think he your dad. Now, mind you, she didn't. Okay. But that was his assumption.
Initially.
But after all of their reckoning in their, reconciliation, because remember, he did try to destroy her artwork, which that was way out of line.
Ooh.
That was insane.
Way out
She
of line.
went up to that
And
place so fast.
She got him
She was like,
together.
no.
Embarrass me.
Please don't come with me. I can handle this.
So
on
I'll
my
handle
own.
this.
Right.
She said, don't you ever in your motherfucking life mess with my work again. Have you lost your goddamn mind?
Goddamn mind. Period.
And he apologized.
He
said,
did because
"Yep,
he knew he
I was
out
out of
he knew
line.
it was
She
too
read
much.
him
And that
to
won't
filth.
happen again." And did.
She read him to filth.
I was
and he really
I
didn't know
had
how
to
to handle that.
rewind that speech when I was listening.
Oh, yeah.
And reading. I said, I got to hear this again.
Alim was like, "Let me come with you. Let me come with you." She said, "Ah, let me go by myself. Let me handle this real quick."
But I'm glad she did, and I'm glad just
Yeah.
at the end of it all, like for me, I felt like the end wasn't like super realistic because like I'll follow you anywhere. To me, that feels like super idealistic. But I'll say in general, I truly enjoyed the book. So for me, like I said, I kept seeing a lot of threes. I gave it like a 4, like closer to a 4.5 because I just felt like it was realistic, like except that very end part. But I enjoyed pretty much the whole read. Like I ate it up.
Yeah.
Ate it
Same.
up. Okay.
We're here for it.
Shout out to contemporary fiction. Shout out to Black contemporary fiction.
Yep. I gave it a 4.75.
What was the 0.25 off?
Oh, the 0.25 was off because she made me really nervous with some of those decisions. Like at one point was like, "Don't do it."
But that
Bitch,
gets
don't
you
do it.
going in the book.
But then
I like
having
that.
this discussion, I was like, I liked it, and I actually disagree with Kayla. I think the ending actually was very realistic because some people really have jobs like that, and it's like, why can't I just go?
You know what?
So
You're
I
right.
liked it. So
I like your
I'm actually
conviction
bumping the
with it.
4.75 to a full 5.
To
This
a
is a
full
5.
five.
This is a 5-star rate for me. It was excellent.
Yeah. Okay. I really enjoyed the read the whole time because I was getting confused as to why I kept seeing so many low ratings. But now that Alex has explained, like, this wasn't a traditional romance that the girlies were expecting.
But it
so they
was
didn't
advertised as one. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think that was
Yes,
something
and,
with like marketing.
and maybe that's
Yeah.
not the author's fault, but maybe that was
No.
like the branding and the marketing's fault. But overall it was still a
Atria.
great read, fantastic. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we all enjoyed this. I'm gonna be honest. So, I mean, y'all don't know this, but we've recorded 2 episodes in one day. We never do this. We have been drinking. The girlies are tired and they have to pee. So, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Reading Black Girls podcast. We will check y'all soon. Comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you think about this book in the comments. DM us. We want to hear what y'all think because you know we love a little good discourse. Okay?
Right. Give us tea.
Right. We love y'all. Thank you for watching.
We'll catch y'all
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.